Children of the night, what music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Welcome to Final Guys, everybody. It's the horror podcast about pod people. I'm your host, Jack, and with me, as usual, my two cohorts, the pod people, Jason Brant.
Hello, my friends.
Hunter Shea.
What about the pods?
All right. This week, we are taking a retro turn and doing a classic movie. It's a remake that's actually been remade a number of times, and this is probably the most significant remake. We're talking Invasion of the Body Snatchers as our featured movie. We'll get to that towards the end, the second half of the podcast. We'll hit some news. We'll go talk about a bunch of the stuff that we watched, and there'll be a lot of nonsense in between. Gentlemen, before we get going, how's everybody doing? What's going on?
I'm
I'm
alive.
all right. Long day at work. Tornado warnings in effect for you and I, Jack. So
That's
we're
right.
just waiting to be blown away or blown.
Tornado warnings? Is that common up there?
It's getting more. We never heard this growing up, but now we get it a few times a year.
A couple of years ago, Massachusetts got nailed with some tornadoes. But yeah, probably once a year we get like the tornado warning, but I've got my ruby slippers already just in case.
I was years ago. We went to Jellystone Park, which is a Yogi Bear themed campground, and we were staying in a trailer. And the tornado warning goes in effect, and you hear the huge sirens. So, we're tornado trailer, and my daughter, who's terrified of storms, starts freaking out. So, to prove to her that all is fine, I get out of the trailer and stand underneath all the trees for her to see, as I hear this tornado bearing down. What had happened was it just kind of like just missed us and destroyed the camp right next to us.
So going outside was a very smart move.
It was one of the dumbest things I've ever done. But I was a dad trying to prove to his daughter that, hey, it's all okay. Although I could have just further horrified her by watching her dad die right in front of her.
Yeah, I have kind of a similar story. My cousins and I did the Hudson Valley Rib Fest a few years in a row, where we, smoking ribs and all that stuff, competition barbecue, up in New Paltz, New York.
Mhm.
And the first year, I think it was the second year we did it. We had this awesome tent that we called the lounge with Christmas lights and beach chairs and all that. And we had another tent set up with all the cooking stuff and the smokers and everything. And all of a sudden, this storm hit and was just tearing everything apart. And my cousin and I go running over, and we're holding down, but with the metal rods, the tent over all our cooking, and lightning just starts coming and everything. And the other tent blows over us. It could have easily impaled both of us.
Yeah.
Ours starts going, everything. We're like, screw it. We luckily had a camper that some people were going to sleep in. And we all piled into this thing while this storm just raged. And they called it a microburst, but we're convinced it was a freaking tornado because
A macro burst.
it was this big campground with lines of, and just this one row was just destroyed, and we were the last campsite on it. It just got torn.
That's crazy.
It was nuts. So
But were the ribs saved?
we did rebuild, and we won the we placed in the top 3 in fish, I think it was.
There we go. Oh, by the way, I also bought my Halloween costume at Five Below, and I apologize to people listening to us on the iPods and anything you listen to. Tell me what you think of this.
Wow. Very nice.
So I'm going to just wear this giant head.
Giant
And
baby's head.
It's so disturbing.
I got my
Nothing's
costume
scarier.
this weekend too, but I think I'm going to wait for some pictures to unleash it. And
Hopefully-
actually, Jack, your rib story reminded me. I was at Happy Hour Friday, and this dude says, hey, there's a beer festival up the road from you, like a mile, less than a mile. You should come to it. I'm like, all right, I go there. It's free, and it's all you can drink of all the best microbreweries. Victory, Stone.
Oh, my God.
Dewclaw, Heavy Seas. I mean, everything. It was the shit. I was
Free
quite happy.
beer.
Free, yeah. Normally you go to those things, they're like $40-$50. All you can drink. Bring it on. It was
Wow.
awesome. It's a good
Wow.
day. Diet
And
went
you
out the
were
window there.
tornado after that, spinning around.
Yeah, I had to make sure my wife was driving that day.
All right. Well, speaking of drinking, let's segue into the drinking game rules that the crazy people in the chat room will be not partaking in when we say these words.
Hey, Homer. Okay. I can't do Barney. All right. So here we go. Every week, if we say certain words, you have to drink. So, Jack, when you say favorite, Goldblum, and remake, or if you say that sentence, y'all listening have to take a drink.
I mean, like my favorite remake with
What's your-
Goldblum in it.
What's your favorite Goldblum remake? Exactly. Mine is a doppelganger, Spock, and World. Okay.
Oh, I should have had
Fun.
Spock.
I know. Jason, yours is Jurassic, Acting, and Sutherland,
Yep.
which is matching your shirt. And the
Kiefer?
bonus word, Kiefer, Donald, Jack Sutherland, whoever. If any of us say classic, hell, or pod, you're already drinking. So there we go.
Pod.
All right.
We're all done.
I did want to mention quick because I don't think we've brought it up in like a year. But for anyone listening to this, if you ever want to get in on the live stream and the chat, we are live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. So we always put links up on our Facebook group, which is Final Guys Horror Cult, or our Facebook page. So if you ever want to get in on it, check it out.
And the links on Twitter too as well.
Yes.
All right. You guys ready for some news?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this one is for Hunter because he loves the Conjuring universe so much.
Yeah.
Because you're an idiot. No, I'm kidding.
Thank
You
you.
didn't like the Nun, so you redeemed yourself a little bit.
I didn't like the Nun or the first Annabelle. So there we go.
Annibal. Well, did you know there's another character coming to us in the Conjureverse?
Yes.
The Crooked Man. It's
Mhm.
theater, July 3rd. I guess he was in one of the other Conjuring movies. I think
He was in the second one.
Second one. Based on a nursery rhyme, but they added a final line. The Crooked Man stepped forth and rang the crooked bell, and thus his crooked soul spiraled into crooked hell, murdered his crooked family, and laughed a crooked laugh. That's the evil verse.
The Crooked Man was actually one of the better parts of that movie. I actually liked it.
I don't even remember the.
I didn't remember it either till I saw an image of it when I heard the movie was coming out. And I was like, oh, yeah. I barely remember that second Conjuring movie.
Come on over. We'll watch it together. It's my daughter's favorite movie.
Really? I'm not a giant fan of them. They're not bad, but I always feel like they're just so overproduced, kind of. Like they're slick.
Well, get ready because
They are.
Conjuring 3 and Annabelle 3 are also on the way.
Annabelle 3.
Annabelle 3. Yeah.
How?
Trace Annabelle.
Well, they made a ton of money, so you're not going to stop until the money dries up.
God damn it.
Guess we won't be reviewing that one. I'll just talk about when I went to see it.
Yeah, I can't see me spending money on Crooked Man, but
I'll probably go see it.
we'll cross that bridge in July.
Oh, it's Crooked Man is already circled on next year's calendar by my kids.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It's a big one.
We were just talking about how none of us want to see Venom, but I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, if I get time, I'll probably go see it. God damn it.
And that means you're going to see it because you got nothing but time.
That would be nice.
Between the playoffs starting this weekend and the nice weather waning away, there's no way I'm going to see Venom unless I already saw early reviews on some websites that weren't good. If I start to see something like, oh my God, there's a surprise appearance by Tom Holland Spider-Man or something of that magnitude, that will maybe change my mind. But based on the trailers for Venom right now and the fact that it's a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, I'm out.
You're out.
It's a Sony movie. Odds are
Yeah.
it's going to suck. I don't know what happened to that studio, but it's just horrible what they're putting out.
And I think there's a thing, like to keep the rights, they have to keep making movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, good God.
And look, if my nephew wasn't off at college and was home, then I might go because we'd be like, what else are we going to do? Let's go see Venom and we can laugh about it. But he's not around, so we both save a little bit of money.
Well, there's nothing
Wow.
like a PG-13 movie about a comic book character who eats people.
Yeah.
It ought to go well.
Yeah.
Okay, so the new Halloween movie's coming out in a couple of weeks, so we're all looking forward to it.
Yes.
And the producer, Malik Akkad, was talking to in an interview, and he mentioned the possibility of Michael Myers ending up as a TV series eventually.
Is he going to be like a TV host, like Freddy?
Michael Myers' Nightmares. He doesn't have to remember any lines. That's the great thing about
Stands
him.
there and stares at the
He
camera.
never has to go back for overdubbing, looping, or whatever they call it. They said that it wouldn't look anything like your traditional Halloween movie, but Michael Myers and other known characters would appear. I was reading somewhere else about this that was saying that really this is the way entertainment is moving, which we clearly know that because every week we seem to be talking about the next horror franchise that's now going to be a TV show. It just seems like that's the way to do it now. They're going to take every movie, turn it into a Netflix series or something like that, and people don't go to the theater, but they will watch it on the small screen.
They will watch 10 episodes.
So is it a Halloween movie, or is Michael Myers going to appear in a series?
I think Michael Myers would appear in a series.
Okay.
So I
That
think that
sounds
would
better.
basically you're drawing out Halloween into a 10-episode thing instead of one
He's
movie.
also on Dancing with the Stars, which I'm looking forward to.
Okay. I was thinking like just a series. Like, they couldn't even do a series of movies, right? Let alone
See, what
something
I
extended.
I'm so excited about the fact that by what they're doing with Halloween, it's just there's the first one and this one, so now he's not immortal.
Right.
Yep.
He's a dude.
He's not Jason Voorhees now.
Right. He's a dude who's been in prison. It's kind of weird and scary.
I wish they'd go back to the original concept where it's like every year do a Halloween movie that's maybe it takes place in the same universe, but just different movies. It's not always Michael Myers. It's something else horror, but under the banner of Halloween.
That would have been better to do from the start. I wonder now, though, if people are so entrenched with the name that they just would never. Kind of like Halloween 3. They had already.
Yep.
From Halloween 2, they were so entrenched with it. Because I like Halloween 3, but man, when I talk to people about it, they hate that movie.
Because it's called Halloween 3.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie.
If it was just Season of the Witch, they'd be fine with it.
Anything with Tom Atkins is the shit.
That's right, damn it. Getting the ladies.
Isn't that new? Isn't that what's the series? Is the Haunting series?
Yes.
That's coming out this month.
Is that this month?
I think it's this month is that and the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Oh, and
did you see the trailer for that?
No,
I haven't. I read the comic.
It looks wicked dark.
The comic was wicked dark, let me tell you. I've been waiting for the second volume for 2 years now. So they can't write more comics, but they can make a TV show.
The girl from Black Coat's daughter looks perfectly cast. She looks like she's going to be awesome. I don't know if the show's going to be crap or good, but in the trailer, I want to see a witch movie with her in it, just based on the trailer.
If they stick to the comic, it'll be great. If they think they're smarter than the comic,
this is a Netflix series, right?
Yep.
Nice.
So there's a lot to watch in October, but I think it all hits at the same time and takes 2 weeks to watch. So we'll review it as best we can.
Shudder just released all the movies they have coming out this month too, and it's a ton of good ones.
Oh, we got to sift through that and see if there's any good.
I got to get laid off. So I have time to watch all this.
I've already with the baseball playoffs and work and stuff. I'm like, I'll watch it. I do 2 horror podcasts. I'll watch enough horror movies, but the whole idea of 31, if it happens, it happens. But
as a Mets fan, I don't have to worry about that.
That's always the upside of when your team gets knocked out of the playoffs. You're all sad, and then you're like, well, I got more time for Halloween stuff. So
yep.
All right, the last piece of news is we all love The Thing.
See.
We're all John Carpenter fans.
CC.
So he was talking about how he would love to direct another movie, but he said The Thing 2 is definitely out of the question.
Thank you, John.
So I saw this article. I was like, oh, why is it? Because the ending's perfect, and going any further would ruin the story, and blah blah blah. No. It's just that he doesn't want to go back to the Arctic. He's
Too cold?
basically Danny Glover. I'm too old for this.
Ugh.
So he said, if I could go shoot something in Venice, that'd be cool. He likes to play video games and
Maybe he'll do body bags too.
yeah. So
We need that.
he's creatively involved in this new Halloween. I don't know to what extent, but
Means he's getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
yes.
They paid him in cigarettes.
So
Cartons and cartons, as many as you want.
the news here is there's no Thing 2 coming out.
Thank you, Jesus.
Can you imagine that? You find out McCready's alive, but now he's 70. You don't know how. He's just an old man.
That works out. Maybe he'll battle Michael Myers, who I hear he actually dies in this movie because he pulls up lame with sciatica, and Jamie Lee just hacks him to death.
In that trailer, he's pounding his head off the stall door. I don't think that's good for your old brain, dude.
No. I watched the way he walks. I'm like, I don't even walk that well.
He's healthy because he's got one of those Fitbits and he walks so much that he gets his steps in every day, just walking after victims.
Because we give too much to our prisoners in our penal system. We made them too damn healthy.
Is penal a drinking word?
Are you aware of the penal code in this state? Look, it's
All
like
right.
a Fred movie for
That's all the news that's fit to print, fellas. Let's go to what we watched.
We have such sights to show you.
Okay, we're Bick. Who wants to go first? Who watched something good? Jason, you guys have a lot of stuff, so why don't you go first?
Oh, shit. What did I watch? The first thing I watched was... Oh, yeah. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. I watched Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
I bet Jurassic did.
Oh, my God. This movie is so bad. So bad. It just blows me away. I didn't love Jurassic World. I thought it was stupid, but fine. It was decent. A lot of people went nuts over it. I'm not really sure why, but it was fine. This movie is just... It's hard to describe how much I did not like this. Just everything about it. The writing, the dialogue, the action. It was just so bizarre.
The second half of the movie.
Oh, my God. It was...
The first half of the movie.
Yeah, just the beginning when they're saying, "Okay, let's go get the dinosaurs." None of it made any sense. None of it. I didn't understand even from the get-go. Okay, they have to go save the dinosaurs because a volcano is going to explode. Don't you have the DNA you used to make the dinosaurs? Can't you just make more if you want more?
Right.
Yep.
I don't understand.
Then now I heard a lot of people say this was the one Jurassic Park that had an element of it that could only kind of be interpreted as a horror movie. Did you detect that?
This one?
Well, it's because it has sort of a haunted house vibe to it in the second half. Because it literally takes place in a giant mansion where a dinosaur is stalking people and like Nosferatu, like shadow.
Okay, that's what they were getting at.
It was
All right.
It was like Resident Evil, where just in this house there's this lab where they just like make dinosaurs. This movie was crap. So
Hey, look who's in the chat room. Lynn Cliff.
should I?
A friend from over the pond.
Oh,
Really?
Lynn.
Pond.
Yeah.
Always wishes us well and never shows up. She's here. That's splendid.
Hello, Lynn.
Cheerio.
Hey there. All right. So anyway,
Let's be insulting with our bad British accent.
don't watch this movie. It's not good. It's everything wrong with Hollywood.
Done and done.
Chris Pratt wasted in this movie. Ted Levine played the same military guy that's been in every single military guy in a safari outfit that's been in every single Jurassic Park movie.
These things are so lazy. That's the biggest crime, and then they're just lazy.
There are whole things that aren't explained. I should be a little louder now. Is that better for you guys? I
Yeah.
didn't realize my volume was low. Ted Levine is pulling dinosaur teeth out when he captures these things. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to come up with something he's doing with selling them or DNA or... No. You just don't know. Nothing happens with that. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Nobody cared in this movie.
No, obviously viewers didn't either.
There's an auction for the dinosaurs, and people are bidding like $8 million for a dinosaur. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's like less than like yachts cost. You know, like it's.
Yeah,
I felt like they were bidding a little bit low for something like a dinosaur.
and it's the whole okay. This dinosaur has been genetically modified to be the perfect weapon. Like, who would use this as a weapon? Like, just buy a gun. What are you doing? And even later, Chris Pratt shows up with the gun and is able to fight it off, no problem. Like, oh yeah, the perfect weapon. One guy with a gun.
We all know the perfect weapon. Tom Savini wore it, that crotch gun in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, that's the best weapon.
The perfect weapon is Chuck frickin' Norris.
That's right. Drop him anywhere.
There's a plot twist with a girl, with human cloning. That's just, what is this? Like, what am I watching?
Are you kidding me?
No.
We're not kidding you.
So glad I didn't see this.
It's a turd. It's unreal. Anyway, okay, I'm done. I could go on forever about that movie.
Hunter, what'd you watch?
I only watched one thing this week because as I was getting ready for Horror-tober, which Jack and I call October, I said, all right, I'm not going to really watch much horror. I watched one movie that was so wretched, they don't deserve me giving them any time whatsoever. So for my daughter's 21st birthday, yesterday, I said, what do you want to do? She said, well, we're going to go out. I want to go out to eat. I want to get a drink. I want to go to the Alamo and watch Hellfest. And I was like, now, I was totally unaware of this movie till you guys mentioned it like last week or 2 weeks ago. Had not seen a trailer, knew nothing other
I've never
than
seen a trailer either.
Yeah, it's a horror movie set in like an amusement park. So my expectation was lower than low, lower than going into The Nun.
Jeez.
Yeah. I can't believe I had such a good time in that movie. And in the theater, there were 6 of us. So it's not like we were getting fed the crowd vibe.
I didn't even know it was coming out.
Yeah, it's a combo of the Funhouse and the houses that October built. I knew it was probably going to be good when Gail and Ann Hurd is one of the producers. She's one of the biggest producers in Hollywood.
Yep.
Not known for turds. Bear McCreary does the soundtrack. You all might remember him from Battlestar Galactica. So it's got great music.
I don't remember names like that, but okay.
Great music. The lead girl, she was from Channel Zero, the No End House, the 2nd season. So
I haven't watched Channel Zero.
Okay.
But
you're missing.
I'm just nodding. Yep. Okay.
But it's a bunch of friends going to a big horror amusement park for Halloween, and in it is this guy with this looks like the mask of like a burn victim, who was just following this group around the place. As dumb as it sounds, it was pulled off really well. I tell you, I'm shocked. And I see now the reviews and some people are killing it. I'm thinking if you were in it's kind of starter horror, but it's well-made starter horror.
I heard somebody compare this a little bit to Cabin in the Woods. Would you concur?
You can kind of get that vibe. It's not as near as gory. The ending is freaking great. The last 20 seconds are like big thumbs up.
So it's not as good as American Fright Fest, the crap movie I watched.
No, it's good. I don't know if you'll want to go to the movies and pay $15 to see it, but when it comes out on demand, you should definitely watch it.
Is it one we should maybe even do an episode on down the road?
You'll have to watch. You tell me.
Okay.
Because look, I was so worried because I'm like, this movie is always going to be attached to my daughter's 21st birthday memory with me. I'm like, if this is a turd, it's going to suck.
Yeah, but you can't remember what you did last week, so that's not really that big.
Like, I stayed sober.
You went to the Alamo and you were still sober?
Because I had to drive. I was trying to get my 21-year-old
movies
drunk.
we were reviewing on here, you get so drunk you have no idea what the plot line is. A movie you just go
sometimes.
to. God damn it.
Sometimes, because I go into defensive mode. I'm like, oh, well, this is crap. But just write on my little card, 4 Lone Stars.
Oh, Jesus.
I guess it's my turn, huh?
Yeah.
I watched a great movie, guys. I watched the animated prequel to Train to Busan called Soul Station.
Was that a full-length movie?
It's a full-length movie, and I was hesitant. I'm like, I know I'm going to like this, but am I really in the mood for an animated movie? It's like an hour and a half, whatever. Have you ever just like killed a half hour trying to figure out what you're going to watch? And
Every
now you're
time
like,
I
it's
watch a movie.
almost too late to watch a movie.
I do it
like,
every time I'm trying to find a movie on Netflix.
Yeah. So finally, I'm like, screw it. I definitely want to watch this movie. Let me give it a try. And if it's not so good, I'll take a break. Holy crap! I loved it. I thought it was great. Now,
Really?
yeah, like there's a lot of animated stuff that I'm like, that was okay. I thought this was really well done. Great story. It does not take place on a train. It takes place in Seoul, but there's a train station involved, and you see kind of a patient zero. You see like I don't know if it's the first zombie ever, but it's the first one in this area. And look, it's got some of the trappings of an animated movie, so it's a little bit hokey in a couple of places, but it's head and shoulders above so many other zombie movies that you'll see out there, and it actually is a great companion piece to Train to Busan. And it's not.
Choice. Did they make that the same time as Train to Busan? Because it takes a long time to animate a movie.
I don't know, but let me tell you something. They are not afraid to kill people in this movie. So
nice.
I think it's on Shudder. It's on Shudder or Prime. So I fully look. You may not love it as much as I do, but I think you're going to enjoy watching it either way. So I fully endorse this movie. I really enjoyed it.
I like cartoons.
Did you say this is a prequel or a sequel?
Prequel. So there's going to be. I held back on the news. There's going to be a sequel to Train to Busan called Peninsula, and I think it has to do with the whole region, not just the train. And then New Line has won the rights to remake Train to Busan as an American movie, and James Wan is going to produce it.
Oh God,
Whatever.
great!
So I wonder where that'll be, like Train to Boston.
Just make it in like 15 years from now when we've forgotten about the original.
Like I get it. Most people aren't going to watch it because it's dubbed or subtitles or however you're saying it. But God damn it! Like when does this work? The Ring. That's like
our crazy friend Steve Barnard is the one who suggested Train to Busan to me on Twitter, and for all the stuff I won't watch that he watches, he knocked it out of the park with that recommendation. My fear of a American remake of this is it's going to be like World War Z, which I never even was able to sit through it a second time. Usually it comes out, you watch it in the theater, and you watch it again. I turned it off like a half hour into it. Like, I can't even sit through it a second time.
Yeah, no way.
But James Wan, he's kind of hit or miss. He can be when he's on, and when he's off, he's off.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I went back every week. I'm trying to go back and watch an old classic or a B horror movie or something, and this week was no different. I caught Maniac Cop, 1988. Tom Atkins, Bruce Campbell. Come on.
That's in my queue.
Richard Roundtree. Who else? Robert Zadar. I mean, it has a good cast. This movie's fun. I think that's why I like it. It's just fun. It's not great. It's not an all-time classic. It's not The Shining or The Thing or something, but the stunts and the stunt driving in this are the shit. There's guys falling out of buildings, falling out of moving cars. It's good stuff. And one thing I always forget about this movie is that the protagonist changes halfway through the film. It's just a new main character halfway through. And it's kind of from that point on that the movie's not as good. Like the script feels weird. So Bruce Campbell is being hunted by all these cops because they think he murdered everyone in a police station. So he goes to a prison and goes inside to question someone. I'm like, what? That's probably not the best place to go when everyone in the country's looking for you. But
No.
It's a fun movie. I highly recommend everyone go back and check it out. Maniac Cop is so much fun. I'm actually going to try and get my hands on Maniac Cop 2 because I remember maybe the first 5 minutes of that movie and nothing else.
I don't even think I remember that much.
Is that on Shudder?
No, I have a copy of it. I don't know if it's available somewhere or not.
It's in the Brant vault.
That's right. It's a fun
Brant
one.
All right, Hunter, you're up.
I got nothing.
Oh, okay.
I shot my pinus on that one.
All right.
Hold back.
I watched the new release, Hell House LLC 2, The Abaddon Hotel.
Which
When you
we're
try and
gonna
write that-
suggest that we make the whole episode based on that.
When you try and write that, it's Hell, 2 L's, House, LLC, 2 L's, 2, which is 2 L's, Abaddon Hotel. It's just hell getting through even just writing this title.
That says a lot about the movie when you're bitching about the title.
Now, Hell House, I thought was a above average found footage movie.
Solid flick.
Solid flick. Not the best movie ever, but definitely pretty good, worth watching. Better than 80% of the crap that comes out. This movie, not so much.
Shocking.
First of all, I don't know. Jason, you saw Hell House. Hunter, did you see Hell House?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I don't know how much you guys remember about that movie. I remember bits and pieces of it. This movie acts like it's freaking Jaws, and everybody remembers everything that ever happened.
Yeah, when they say it's a sequel, it's like an integrated sequel.
Yeah, like
that's bad.
This is like they're referencing stuff, and they there's a few flashbacks, but I'm like, wow, this movie really thinks that there are diehards. They're like, oh yes, not only did I see Hell House, I read the book and watched the director's commentary. Like okay, I don't think anybody has paid that much attention.
No.
And the first half happens, and then maybe it's second half or third act. Somewhere in there, they do sort of a twist, and the twist is so silly and kind of awkwardly handled, and it gets a little bit over the top, and that's where you're like, okay, this really isn't a good movie. Like, I kept waiting for, let's see if they can salvage this baby in the third act. No. While it did get more fun in the third act, it also got more dumb in the third act. So
they weren't going to catch lightning in a bottle twice.
They certainly did not.
Did it lose your interest about halfway through?
It was having trouble holding my interest. The only thing that kept me interested in was it because it took the turn it took. Did you see it?
I did. I didn't put it on my list because I didn't really care for it all that much.
So some of the dumb things that happened in the third act were just at least entertaining enough that suddenly I was a little more engaged, even though I wasn't. I was really like rolling my eyes at what was happening, but at least I was like entertained by it. Was like watching a car wreck. Like, okay, so at least I'm interested.
Yeah,
but
the segments where the guy was on like a talk show discussing what had happened and all that was just not. It just didn't work for me.
Yes.
So,
See, this is what this show is great for. It's all the movies that we see that you don't have to bother.
I didn't want to trash it because I didn't utterly hate it. I didn't think it was like a giant piece of crap, but I'm not going to lie. I really struggled getting through this just because I kept looking at my phone and, let's get something to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I try not to trash stuff, but at the same time, I can just tell you I didn't enjoy it.
I never trash.
So I'd watch the first one, and the only thing I'll say for it is it's a new release. And if you want to just stay on top of things, there's a new release.
It's a Shudder exclusive too.
Shudder exclusive.
Mm.
All
right. What do you got?
I have Sick House by Jeff Strand. Your book recommendation for the week. Your Jeff Strand recommendation for the week.
That's a great one.
I just grabbed this. I think it was on BookBub or something. I saw it. I didn't even know it was out. And it's a good book. It's Jeff Strand. You want good dialogue? You got it. You want some paranormal activity? You got it. It felt short, or I read it really fast. I'm not sure either way.
I breezed through his book. It's crazy.
Yeah,
how
I
fast
smashed them. It felt like a novella idea that he may have stretched into a short novel or novel length because there's not a whole lot of locations in this. It's almost entirely in one house. The people literally can't even get out. It's a haunted house story, but with Jeff Strand snark, some solid gore, and yeah, it all takes place in one location. Very few characters, but it's novel length and it's solid. It's fun. You can't go wrong with the Jeff Strand novel.
If you're trying to be a writer and you want to learn dialogue and the cadence of good dialogue, read probably anything and everything he's written and then write the dialogue. So just copy it.
Just copy and
No,
paste.
well, no, just you write it down. So it's a weird thing of learning where you are learning by writing, learn by rote. So you're reading it and you're writing it down. It helps, believe it or not. And he's the one person I always point to for dialogue.
Believe it
or not.
Yeah, if you ever want to read a book where ghosts talk shit, Sick House is your book. Do you have anything else, Jack? I got one more thing.
Really quickly, I watched season 2 of Iron Fist.
Oh.
And my quick review is this. Look, there's people who are watching the Marvel Netflix shows and people who have given up. I would say this. If you're one of the people that wants to get through these, Iron Fist 2 is better than Iron Fist 1. It's only 10 episodes. The last episode, half of it is setting up for the next season. The last 3 or 4 episodes are the best episodes in it. It is, and the further it gets into it, particularly the last episode, actually gets to a point where it's a little more comic booky than it has been in the past. And I actually am more optimistic because they kind of leave things in a little bit more of an over-the-top place than they start. So while it's not, they still struggle with pacing, and they've got like a pretty good villain, but he's not very compelling. Nothing like Kilgrave from Jessica Jones. But I liked it, like the Luke Cage season. I wasn't that crazy, but season 2. Iron Fist, the females, Colleen, who's the girl, the Asian girl who was like his girlfriend who was in The Hand, and Misty Knight from the
Misty Monday
show. The two of them are like together, and most of it they could actually have their own show. They're great in it. So I'm going to give Iron Fist a glowing thumb up, but only for people who are really into this. If you're not into this Marvel stuff, you're not going to like this. So that's fine.
See, I misheard you because I started watching Iron Fisting, and it's way different. First of all, nobody's
a lot more action right at the jump in that.
That's actually a sequel to Caligula.
Yeah, Iron Fisting. I don't know. 2 thumbs up.
You're like, what's boring about this? This just jumps right into it.
Where's the mask, though? What's his secret identity? Everything seems to be laid bare.
Jesus Christ. All right, my last thing. This is kind of a weird one. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it, but this is for the gamers out there. There's a game called Doki Doki Literature Club, which is the most ridiculous name. And when you see it, it's free. It's a free game on Steam. Someone told me that it was really great. It's a horror game, but it starts off like one of those weird Japanese dating simulators. I don't know if you've ever seen these. You like have discussions, quote unquote, with girls in a game, and then you like try to date them or something. I don't know. It's weird shit. Steve Barnard's probably all about it.
He probably made it.
Yeah. They thanked him in the credits of this. So this starts like that. You're just in a book club with these Asian chicks, but as you talk to them, things start getting a little weird in the discussions. And as it goes on, it gets weirder and weirder, and then this crazy thing happens. And once it does, the game ends. But if you start the game up again, it's entirely different. And the game gets really weird in that you can... It's almost like one of the characters becomes sort of... I don't want to spoil it, but you can actually go in and delete files in the Windows folder structure of the game, and it will change the way the game plays in a more horrific way. It's really a weird, self-aware game. It's definitely not going to be for everyone, but it's free. It's a couple hours long, and it gets kind of disturbing. At one point, it actually got me a little bit. So Doki Doki Literature Club, it's a weird name. It's typically not my thing, but it was one of the most unique games I've ever played. I will put it that way. It was a cut above. So,
and as Jason blurbs for everything he blurbs for, it was really interesting.
It was really interesting.
Dude, one day I want one of my books. I want your blurb. It's really interesting, bigger than my name or the title.
Next book, let's do it.
That'd be awesome.
Put it in parentheses in your book title on Amazon.
I'm going to put it over it's diagonal across the cover image.
There you go.
Great.
That's all I got. I'm done.
All right, let's get to the main feature. So roll the bumper.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Okay, so we've been talking about watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers ever since it kind of popped up on Prime, and this week we decided to pull the trigger. It was October 1st, and it was a great movie, I think, to choose as the first movie to watch in October. And it's, what is this? One of four, is it? Have there been four versions of this movie?
Four.
So there's like a 50s version, this, then an 80s, and then 2000s.
The aughts.
Yeah. Yeah, there was that weird one in like 93 on a military base or something.
That was with Gabrielle Anwar. Is that the one? Was it 90s?
I think so.
Early 90s.
So this is the one that I remember best. This and the 50s ones are really the two I've seen the most. And I got to say, I think this is probably the first time I've ever seen this movie uncut. I think every time I've seen this movie, it's been on public television, like not
way, just
like
regular
TV. So this was the first time I saw like the boobies and stuff like that.
The boobies.
The babies. See what you missed out on all those years?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a movie that when it came out and I was a kid, I was not a huge fan of because it was a little slow for me. I was more into the Reanimators and Maniacs and Dawn of the Deads. And
it's not a gory action-filled fest, yeah.
Yeah, but there was a certain charm to it, and I've been on the Goldblum bandwagon since 10 Speed and Brown Shoe, one of his first TV shows of all, with Ben Vereen. So I go way back with this guy. Yeah. And of course, Leonard Nimoy being in it doesn't hurt. So I was very happy to go back and watch this movie, and I think I appreciated it more. I think it's always been my favorite version of this movie, although I really want to go back and watch the 50s one now. So how did you guys feel going back and watching this?
Well, I go back and... You want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
I go back and watch this movie almost every year. It's one of my favorite horror movies. I think it's almost perfect. Pacing... Every time I watch it, it feels like maybe a little slower, but I think that might just be the way we consume movies now. They're just not as slow as this one was. I mean, this is 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love this movie. The way it unfolds from the very beginning, almost right away when you see the main characters start to go to work and stuff, you'll see people running in the background, or you'll see a police car fly by, and it starts right away. But it ramps up, so... The first couple times I watched it, I didn't even notice it. But then every time I've seen it the last few years, I've really noticed a lot of crazy shit happening in the background. Even just someone in the window of a building as they're walking down the street, or someone in a car. There's a lot of weird stuff in the background of this movie. And
yep. It's like Mad Magazine.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, so I love it.
We saw this. My father took the family to see this when it first came out. I was 10. And I was already a huge fan of the original. Now, the original it's more a Red Scare kind of movie. And the original is fantastic. We saw it in the theater last week. I mean, it's phenomenal. This is more of the original seems to be more sci-fi. This seems to be more horror. There's a real darkness running through this movie. Yeah. And you're right. It's near perfect. And every time I watch it, I actually grow to love it even more. Mm-hmm. I love the opening of you get to see the spores.
Yeah,
on the other planet. And I think it sets this tone, and it's really creepy in how they come and rain down on Earth. And you're right, the action for what it is, the shit hits the fan quickly here. And you are right. There's a lot of things that you have to watch out for. So every viewing you'll find something new, which I think is great. And it's got a stellar cast.
The cast is unreal.
You got Donald Sutherland at his most Sutherlandly. You've got what's her name, Brooke Adams, who was a hot commodity back then. You got a young Jeff Goldblum playing like a jerk pain in the ass writer, which it's a small role, but he was in an even smaller role around that same time in the movie The Sentinel.
I know all about jerk pain in the ass writers. I co-host.
You sure do.
Show with a couple.
Jack, I'm surprised you didn't whip out the tissues and lotion when you saw that Leonard Nimoy was in this.
When you think about the fact that you've got Goldblum, Nimoy, and Sutherland all in one movie, and I never really, I forgot, number one, that Goldblum was even in this movie.
Yeah.
I forgot that I have not seen this movie in, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years. Like I've been aware of it. Like I've seen it a couple of times, but I forgot huge chunks of this movie. There's certain scenes you never forget.
And let's not overlook.
Pods.
Don't overlook that Veronica Cartwright was in this.
She's great.
In a year's time, she does this in Alien, and Melting Down very similarly in both movies.
Typecast.
It's a really good movie, man. I mean, I just can't say enough good stuff about it. I remember it creeped me out as a kid, walking home at night.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good night scenes in this where you just don't know who's who or what's what. You mentioned the cast. I noticed something this time. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. 10. I saw at the beginning. Do you remember the priest on the swing? And
Is that Robert Duvall?
Yes. I saw him like, what the hell? Is that Robert Duvall? Yes.
That was?
It's an uncredited cameo.
I'm sorry
That's
to step
awesome.
on that.
No,
Yeah,
that's
nailed it.
cool.
Yeah.
And I just watched it this morning because I didn't realize that was the movie we were doing until this morning. Carrying my laptop in the bathroom as I'm ironing, as I'm eating breakfast, as I'm making the bed.
It was a 2-hour movie.
Yeah. Almost on the nose, I think.
They could have knocked a little bit off this movie, but
I don't know.
I wasn't actively feeling that, but
I think I love the dialogue in this, and I love that unfolding uneasiness and paranoia.
Yeah, I think what makes it work is I was watching it again last night thinking, this feels a little long, but at the same time, they spend so much time on character stuff that when the replication starts, I feel like it's more emotional. So, maybe when you're kind of getting through, okay, why do I have to hear all this relationship shit with Leonard Nimoy? But when he shows up later, it has more of an impact, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What was up with that bowling glove he was wearing?
I was wondering the same thing. It's like, is he an archer? What is that? Before I forget this, Hunter, you mentioned seeing the spores at the beginning, and I love how you see the spores in space, they come to Earth, all that, but then you see them replicating plants. So that's the first life form they replicate, and then they learn to replicate humans after that. I thought that was so cool.
And let me tell you, the birthing of the pod people in this, the effects are just great.
Special effects in this movie are great.
And I love the fact that you can watch. So you're watching it get born. You're watching the person start to desiccate.
Mm-hmm.
But if they wake up, I love when you see like the pod person's eyes open up, and then the person who's sleeping, their eyes open up, the pod person's eyes close, and then they start to just disintegrate once you've severed that.
Yeah,
and
I love when people wake up in the middle of it and they're just dying of thirst because it's like hollowing them out, like sucking all the juice out of them.
And when they survive it, you see like Brooke Adams like going for water in the background all the time. Whenever they like go into a room, she's like looking for water. They don't call any attention to it.
Yeah, someone's always pounding water in a scene in this.
Yeah, because her boyfriend, once he's a pod person, he's always drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The special effects are really good in this movie, and it was one of those things that like my memory of the pod, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back and watch this, and it's be a lot cheesier than I remember it. And instead, I was admiring it, going, wow, this is 1978. This is really good for 1978. The other great effect is when the human has been conquered, and then they shrivel away.
Oh,
yes.
tough.
When look, we'll get when Maud Adams disintegrates Donald Sutherland's arms,
and he's just freaking out.
Yeah. That scene's messed up. Every time I watch it, I'm like, can you imagine if that happened to someone you loved? Oh.
Did you know the little known fact that he plays the same character from that movie in Animal House?
Really?
What?
I'm lying. It's a joke.
Jerk.
Like, huh?
Hey, I wanted to bring this up. Now, people talk about how this is a remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I pose that it's a direct sequel because in this
same
movie,
guy is in it.
Kevin McCarthy shows up,
Great cameo,
screaming about everything. So there's a potential that he's happened to make his way to San Francisco at this point, and is trying to warn everybody, but it doesn't last long.
I'm trying to remember how the 58 version ends, or 55 or whatever it was.
Him trying to tell everybody that not to fall asleep and that they're coming.
Oh,
that's how it ends.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool idea. It's
So
a sequel.
It ends like that, and then it begins with that.
When he jumped on the car, I'm like, who the hell is that guy? Why do I recognize? I looked him up, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's the star of the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. He just passed away not too long ago.
He must have hung in there.
Yeah. Irish blood.
The other iconic thing about this movie is when the pod people spot you and they do the
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I used to do that to my mother all the time. She would start coming up the stairs and I'd dart into the hallway and just point down the stairs. She's like, shut up. Get your room.
The sound design in this, not just that, but throughout the whole movie, again, it's incredible, particularly for the age of it. There's a lot of stuff going on. Some good music, great sound effects. This movie's
they do a lot of really good stuff along the lines where they'll shoot from inside a store out the window, or like they'll shoot through things and then they'll have sound over a montage or something that's different sound than what's going on the screen. Like, there actually is really good production value to this movie, so much that it was jumping out at me. I was like, wow, this movie's very well made.
Yeah.
Hey, it was directed by the guy who wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
damn.
Yeah. Philip Kaufman, who this is, I think, the only horror movie he ever directed, but his writing credits are absolutely insane.
I didn't know he wrote Raiders. That's impressive as hell.
He wrote Raiders and Temple of Doom. He wrote all the Indiana Jones movies.
I hold that the Temple of Doom is half horror movie, half fun action. So
I could see that.
People's hearts are getting pulled out of their chest.
True.
It's scary that I spent money to see that movie.
Temple of Doom?
Yeah, that movie sucked.
Oh, I love Temple of Doom.
I loved it as a kid.
It's one of my faves.
I didn't like Temple of Doom. Like, the minute they were going down the mountain in the boat, the raft.
Oh yeah, that part's stupid.
I was just like, okay, this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, this movie's just pales in comparison to the original.
I will say though, this director, he had a good 2 years in a row because he did this and The Wanderers the year after. Oh no, 3. Then he did The Right Stuff.
Damn.
The New Kids on the Block song.
Oh! Philip Kaufman. So look him up.
I wanted to mention particularly the performances, but particularly Donald Sutherland's character. It's a really unique character when you think about it. So he's this health inspector in San Francisco, and he's pretty douchey about his job. He's very aggressive, kind of an asshole for the people he's inspecting. And at one point, somebody says, "Are you a doctor?" He says, "No, health department. I'm a civil servant." And just like the biggest douche way ever. But then he has this interesting relationship with Brooke Adams' character, where have they dated before, or is he just carrying a super torch for her?
He's carrying a torch for her.
He's that guy who's friends with your girlfriend that you don't trust.
Like really intimate friends. But
yes.
At the same time, he's trying to help her relationship. So he's obviously in love with her, but he brings in Leonard Nimoy to try to save her relationship with her boyfriend. So he's got all these layers that you usually don't see in a horror movie. And I thought it made him a really interesting hero. And I got interesting in twice in that part.
Nimoy, the great thing about him is this is Mission Impossible era Nimoy. You've got, and it's great to see him in a non-Spock role. And in this particular role, he gets to be kind of that. He's not douchey, but he's something like that in his doctor persona. Then when he kind of is revealed as one of them, he gets more sinister. And he's kind of like the overlooked guy in this movie because he really is great.
I always thought he looked evil. Like he should have played evil more often.
He did a good job. He was this weird Dr. Phil guy. But then he gets sinister, and he does a great job. I would have liked to have seen him get more roles like that, to be honest. The way he just deadpanned was perfect for this movie.
Well, he was stuck in Star Trek, so. Wasn't much you could do.
I don't. There was someone else I wanted to mention too. Oh, Jeff Goldblum is so quirky and bizarre in this.
Dude, you know what? I have a little pet peeve on this because they always portray writers in movies and stuff as these just insecure, neurotic, hyper intellectuals. I have yet to meet anybody like that who writes for a living.
It is San Francisco.
And he's a failed writer.
That is true. I don't know, man. They do that all the time. Like, man, unless if that's what being beholden to the New York Times book review does to you, then thank God I don't.
Hey, let's not forget one of the great things about the ending of this movie is
that the ending is first of one of the best endings ever in a horror movie.
Yep.
Which is now totally spoiled because like that is the image that people see when they look up this movie. But you also get super zoom on the Sutherland stash.
You want to get lost in that stash?
That power stash.
That thatch work.
Yeah, that must have been a hell of a lens on that camera because they go deep.
It's like they were supposed to go into his mouth, and the guy's like, nah, I got to go a little bit up and get some of that stash.
By the way, it's a caper.
It's a rat turd.
Caper!
The ending is the classic of all time. Like, it's one of the great endings
Top
of
10.
a horror movie, yeah.
Yeah. It's honestly up there with The Thing for me, with the way they did that.
Yep. And I just love the fact that your heroes are health inspectors. Like, how unlikely is that?
Yeah, he's got this fro thing going on. He's rocking the stash. He's just this nerdy government inspector guy who's in
Care
the
when
friend
people
zone.
break his windshield.
Yeah, and he just drives away. He doesn't even say anything.
Nah.
Just takes it. The ending to me is, if you didn't like the movie leading up, it's just one of those endings that you probably walked away from it thinking it was better than, or you liked it better than you even thought you did, like while watching it, because the way they do the whole thing when he is hiding under a dock. By the way, I guess we're in spoilers, but whatever. The movie's 40 years old.
Yeah.
When he's hiding under the dock.
Spoilers.
What's that?
This whole thing was spoilers.
Yeah. They're shining a flashlight for him, and they use the light as a transition to the daylight. It shines right in the camera's eyes, and then you see Donald Sutherland at work, and it's like, is he just hiding amongst them? What's going on? And they play it for a couple minutes, and it's so effective with you not knowing, and then they just hit you with that ending, and it is just the best.
Yeah, that movie. Now, just think that movie might have inspired Freddy Krueger. The "Don't go to sleep, bad things will
It
happen
had a
to
lot
you."
in common with it.
Yeah.
Anytime you see a zombie movie where they walk with the zombies and try to assimilate with them, so the zombies. I mean, there are so many things that you see.
Well, like zombies and
now.
vampires, it's somebody you know becomes one of them.
Right.
You've got the Freddy Krueger. Yeah, there's a lot of layers, and the term, they're a pod person now. This movie really, like the dry cleaning guy who's like complaining about his wife, and he's like, "Oh no, it's okay now.
It's not my wife."
Ancient Chinese secret.
Yeah, it's like I said, you nailed it, Jason. It's a near perfect movie. There aren't many perfect movies, nor are there many near perfect movies.
And this is a great revisit. Like, I'm very happy. Like, I haven't seen it in years. Came back and just like, oh wow, this is like even better than I remember it being. Like, it was,
and it's on Amazon Prime.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that. Even the stuff they do when he starts trying to make calls to see what's going on, and it starts becoming harder and harder for him to get through to people, and then all of a sudden they're just saying his name when he calls in. That's creepy stuff, particularly for back then.
Yeah.
And you had operators and you had to deal with all that crap.
Yeah, him in phone booths, like young kids would be like, why is he in that thing?
The
he
phone
doing?
booth's a great scene, because as he's on the phone, this dude just walks up and stands right at the door and stares at him. Doesn't say a word. It's just staring at him.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You never know if somebody is just weird,
right,
crazy,
San
or a
Francisco?
pod person. Right.
Yeah, you have to watch the background of this movie because there's so many people. And Garbage Men.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect.
I was very encouraged because when I said this morning that this is the movie that we were watching, my youngest daughter goes, "Oh, that's my favorite of the 4." I'm like,
Wow.
So she's seen all 4, and this is her favorite one. She's 19.
Did either of you see the Nicole Kidman one?
When it came out. Yeah, I don't remember a ton of it. I don't remember being all that impressed.
It's one of those ones that I think I've seen like on Prime or something. I'm like, oh, I should watch this. Maybe next time.
I like the third one. It wasn't bad.
Is that the one that's mostly on a military base?
Yeah.
I only.
Are you talking about
it.
Well, the Blob has the military. Did this one?
The Gabrielle Anwar one there's a military base.
It's been a long time. I remember thinking it was all right. It's this movie's so perfect though. Like, don't remake Halloween. Don't remake this. Don't remake The Thing. What are you gonna do?
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, the third one is just called Body Snatchers from 1993.
This one is one of those ones too, though. There's a lot of movies I go back and watch, and I'm like, a younger person could never sit through this movie and appreciate it. This one, I actually think they could. Somebody who's never seen it, I think they could.
I have proof.
No, I agree. I showed it to someone last year who'd never seen it. She's in her late 20s, and she loved it. So I think I agree in agreement with you. I mean, this movie's 40 years old now, and it holds up so well. For me, most movies before 1980, the pacing is just so different, and the way they shot it and the color grade and everything, it just doesn't translate to a lot of younger people. But this one stands up through the test of time.
Make it a 2-watch movie this month, or else you have failed Horrortober.
This is a great Horrortober. You're looking for a Halloween month movie. Put it on the list.
And it's free. Damn it. It's
free.
Listen, along those lines, I was looking through a bunch of movies that potentially I'd like to watch this month. A bunch of the old Hammer movies and things like that. Some of the Universal stuff and other things like in that kind of realm.
Mm-hmm.
And even though most of them are only like anywhere from $2 to $5, there are very little of them that are on Prime or Shudder or Netflix. It's surprisingly. So when you can find one like this that's on Prime that you don't have to drop a couple of bucks to see, jump all over it and because
drop a couple of capers.
Because if we're gonna listen, 31 days if you spent $5 a day, that adds up. So get yourself a free one.
Yeah, it's hard to beat this.
All right, so Hunter, what's next week's movie?
Next week's movie is a Netflix original called Malevolent. So it drops on Friday, October 5th. I was going to say 6th. And it's about a bunch of paranormal investigators who go to a abandoned orphanage. And it's going to get weird. Coming attraction look good.
Well, let's hold our breath and hope it's good.
All these Netflix originals have been so kind to us with how good they've been the last year or so.
Look, I'd rather watch that, sitting on the couch of my fat ass and paying money to go to the movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch it anyway, so if I had to talk about it with you knobs, it doesn't make a difference to me.
Knobs. You knobs.
Here's the thing. Watch some other good stuff. So if this movie stinks, we'll just suck up the episode with other stuff.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Got it.
All right. Well, anything else, guys? Because I think that's one in the can for us.
Someone let the dogs out. It's time to end the show.
We got more reviews on the site. We're starting to get a nice little database thanks to everybody submitting some reviews. So if you're looking for something to watch for Horrortober, just go there, click Creature Feature, click Found Footage, Aliens, whatever you got, and we got a whole list.
And follow me on Twitter where I share every movie I'm watching with my 9 out of 10 Tana Leaves rating system.
Keep us posted on what you're watching throughout the month. And then also don't forget to share the link. That'll really help us out a lot. And if you get around to it, give us a review on iTunes. And with that, farewell and adieu, you fair Spanish ladies.